do we even need these detention facilities? Like, could they carry out their big deportation plan without these facilities?
Well, great question. I think people need to understand that, first, these should not be like jails or prisons that we know of in the criminal justice system. These are civil detention facilities, which means that they're a very small part of the process in the immigration system. But what President Trump is doing is massively expanding the footprint and putting anyone, whether they're legal immigrants, we've seen some great grandmothers be put in there, just anyone who is an immigrant in these detention centers that has never been used before. So when you ask what we need, it's a great question, because what do you need to enforce immigration law? You don't need to be detaining people in these conditions, no. There are alternatives to detention that are available in the law, so you can deport people without having to rely on the detention system this way. So this is a falsehood, but and we'll get to this, but Trump is really changing the way these detention centers are being used, and he's using it to punish people and to coerce people to leave the country.
Well, tell us more about that.
Absolutely. So typically, there's some people who have to be, there's mandatory detention for some people, say an asylum seeker, and as our case is going through the process. But what they seem to be doing is calling immigration detention a choice. This is unprecedented. And they have, they're telling on themselves in every official press release. They're saying people don't have to be here, they can self-deport. That is absurd, because what they're revealing to every lawmaker and every American is that they have no incentive to improve those conditions. They seem to be intentionally now making them as miserable as possible, and their explanation is leave.
I'm sorry, but maybe I read enough, maybe I didn't read the fine print. I thought that most of the people in many of these facilities at this point, they don't even have criminal records. Nope. Like, these are not, right? Okay, so
70–80% of them.
So they're detaining people who are not the worst of the worst, are not criminals. In some instances, American citizens have been detained. So what are we really talking about here? Rachel Maddow has been talking about this for consistently, about the expansion of these detention center facilities, about how this mirrors, frankly, the last time there were quote unquote internment camps in this country, when we interned Japanese Americans. So what is really the end goal? I have to ask.
I mean, they're very open, right? This is an administration now that has openly embraced old white supremacist ideology, bringing it back, opening an office of, say, the Office of Remigration, which the idea of remigration is to expel the foreign-born population to cleanse the United States, right? They are saying that out loud, okay? So let's connect the dots. The detention facilities are to detain as many non-citizens as it seems that they possibly can, or to coerce them to leave the country, right? And that is not immigration enforcement. You can be an American who wants our immigration laws enforced. They have never been enforced this way before. And I need to tell people, Delaney Hall is just one center of many that have been facing poor conditions. And I have to be honest here, these conditions also, happened in Democratic administrations as well. Immigration detention has been a stain on the U.S. government now for multiple administrations, but I've never seen it be used as a way to push as many immigrants out of the country.
And that, Andrea, is the core or the heart of the appeal for Donald Trump. Because those past administrations, even though these centers existed in many respects and performed the way they're performing now, there was no real media spotlight or coverage on that aspect of the immigration narrative. Donald Trump leveled it up because people out there around the country felt like something else needed to be done. And so he comes in with the hammer, he comes in with the broom to clean everything, and he comes in with the key to lock people up. And people, at least initially, applauded that until these things now become much more prevalent and much more revealed by media coverage. Speaking of which, our colleague Ali Velshi this weekend tried to put the spotlight on what was happening there. Let's take a look at what happened.
Proper information is the thing that's missing and that we're trying to do. But as you can now see, these police officers continue to walk us back. I guess we're all getting our steps in tonight.
Ali got his steps in, but he was stepping into that conversation in the first instance to expose the truth about what this was and what it isn't. And yet the, DHS officials, the ICE people, ICE officials, along with state police, started pushing the media back. the interesting thing is he was like really the only real substantive media person in that at that moment, still on foot there, pushed so far back that, as Ali would say several times, we're not covering anything. There's nothing here for us to cover because it's a half a mile down the road. Talk about that piece of it in addition to what's going on in those facilities, how this spotlight is more and more important that needs to be put on it.
It's critical, and the Department of Homeland Security is going to do everything they can to shut out media attention from it. Because I served in administrations where we also made it difficult for people to see the conditions where pregnant women were being held. I've seen some of the most depraved things in this country at DHS detention centers, right? And so what I am hearing is deeply disturbing, and it sounds much worse than much of what we've seen. But I want to commend, Governor Sherrill, the New Jersey delegation. I was very happy to see Leader Jeffries be out there. But here's the issue. You can shut down Delaney Hall. They will move them to other detention centers further away from their families, more remote, and where it's even harder to shine attention on it.
Let's talk about that, because I want to make sure we pull up this list of demands that's coming from the hunger and labor strike detainees. This is according to the American Friends Service Committee: an immediate in-person meeting with Governor Mikey Sherrill, the immediate release of all prisoners, including vulnerable detainees. You mentioned pregnant women. They are on the list. Meaningful and fair review of immigration cases and habeas petitions. An end to what detained individuals describe as coercive pressure. This is what you were talking about, to sign deportation or voluntary departure documents. I mean, we hear about how there's worms in the food, that people are being forced to sleep on floors. That's not even what they're protesting. They are protesting for basic human rights.
They are. It is a basic human rights issue. And to be clear, Secretary Markwayne Mullin could stop this right now. There are alternatives to detention. He can reduce the population in those centers. He can still monitor them. He can still enforce the law. You don't need to keep those people there, especially pregnant women, especially, in children in the family detention centers. This is a policy choice this administration is making. So I think those asks are right. But to your point, they're the bare minimum, right? And so that really falls on all those protesters at Delaney Hall. I commend them for the peaceful protests calling attention. But what happens when someone's released from detention, right? There's no path for them to stay here, and they will be the next person on a deportation plane under this administration's policies because Congress hasn't fixed our immigration laws. And so I want people to understand it's part of a broader issue, and everyone has to start seeing, what do they need? They need legal status. A lot of these people sitting, they cannot correct their status. They're having their asylum cases closed before they have their fair day in court. I mean, we always call it a system for a reason. Detention's just one stop. And it's a torture of these people is part of the strategy. And they're hoping they don't have to go through everything else in order to just have them leave on their own.